Welcome back to the Wiki tutorial video series. My name is Tom Albani with Biostat Global Consulting. In this video, we will describe the Wiki log, which is a verbose record of the settings and progress of the program selected to run within Wiki. It is saved as the first or leftmost worksheet in the Microsoft Excel file that holds tabulated output. So what folder will I find the Wiki log in, and what is the name of the file that holds this log? Well, you might remember from an earlier video titled How Do I Run Wiki that it is best practice to save your control program in the folder that you identify as the Wiki output folder in block B of the program. To back up a little bit, a Wiki control program is a stata.do file that consists of 7 sequential blocks of code named blocks A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. Wiki users change the code in blocks B, D, and F in order to customize their analyses. In block B, the user specifies an analysis name, and then this name is what becomes the file name for a spreadsheet. This spreadsheet holds both the Wiki log and any tabulated output. The letters TO in the file name stand for tabulated output. So when might Wiki fail to produce a log? A Wiki run will end one of 3 ways. Ideally, you will have a successful run, and then the Wiki billboard will tell you that there were no errors or warnings. In that case, the log is placed in the spreadsheet file in the Wiki output folder. The user specifies the name of the output folder, also in block B of the control program. The second way is that when there are errors that are successfully detected by a Wiki, such as inconsistent inputs, or input datasets that are missing essential information. In this case, Wiki will exit gracefully with some informative messages on the screen. The log is then copied to the spreadsheet file, and the same informative messages appear there. These messages will appear at the top of the log in cells colored red. If Wiki issues any warnings, they will also appear at the top of the log in cells which are colored yellow. And then third, if Wiki encounters a stata runtime error that it cannot trap, then you will see a red error message in the output window, and you will also see no Wiki billboard. In this case, Wiki has not yet copied the log to the spreadsheet file, but you can accomplish this task by typing wiki_cleanup in the stata command window. The log will appear in the spreadsheet, and it may appear as if there were no errors, because Wiki cannot detect and trap most stata errors. In this case, you will need to use your stata debugging skills to identify the problem. Feel free to email the Wiki developers if you need help with that. So now that I've had a successful Wiki run, or maybe a not successful Wiki run, what can I learn from the log? Well, if Wiki traps one or more errors and writes error messages in the log, the Wiki developers hope that these messages will be clear enough to help you solve the problem. Follow the instructions that are present in these error messages. If you encounter an error message that is not clear, please feel free to email the Wiki developers for help and to give feedback on how the message might be more helpful in the future. By default, the logs are sorted so that errors and warnings appear near the top. To reconstruct the history of the run, you can sort the log on the first column, and that will help you to understand what happened before the error occurred. Sometimes this sorting is helpful for understanding and correcting an error. Wiki warnings point out situations that the user should probably already know, but we want to be sure that they are at the top of your mind as you look at the output. They do not interrupt or halt the Wiki run. If you have questions about them, please submit your questions on the TechNet21 users group or email the Wiki developers. If the Wiki run is successful with no errors or warnings, then you do not need to look at the log. You may proceed directly to look at other tabular output or at the graphical figures that Wiki produces. But even when there are no errors, the log can be helpful. You can calculate the Wiki runtime in minutes or hours by sorting the Wiki log by the first column and then noting how much time elapsed between the first and the last messages written in the log. The Wiki runtime will be dependent on several factors: the size of the dataset, the number of strata and doses in the analysis, and the power and memory capacity of your computer. Sometimes it is helpful to run the same Wiki control program on several computers to identify which computer is the most efficient for running big Wiki jobs. The first few lines of the log describe some of the characteristics of your machine and Stata license. Those may be of some interest. Another way to make Wiki run faster is to buy a license for Stata MP, which takes advantage of multiple processors. The log tells you how many processors are in your computer and whether you are running Stata MP or another version. To recap, if Wiki traps an error, have a careful look at the error message that appears on the screen or in the log and try to correct it. Communicate with Wiki developers if you are unable to decipher or fix the problem. If Wiki does not identify any errors, then you may want to have only a quick glance at the log, or you may wish to skip it entirely and go directly to the tabulated output or graphical figures. If you have trouble with a Wiki run, the developers may ask you to email the log and other materials so that they can help you. As always, if this video was helpful, please leave a comment or a question regarding it on its page on the Wiki Users Group website. See the link below this video. If you haven't done so already, join the Wiki Users Group at the TechNet21 website by following the links below.